Greetings, 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 good people. Thanks for clicking on the video. It's Hot Topics time, y'all. Happy Friday, okay? It is January 30th. The year is 2026. And they done arrested Uncle Don Lemon, okay? So before I get into that story and the other stories on today's lineup, please pay your admission fee by hitting the like button, okay? And also, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. So be sure to share your comments in the comment section below. Okay, and where are my manners? If you are new here, welcome. If you are not, welcome back. All right, so I don't waste no time. Let's get straight into this breaking news, y'all. So this is according to NBC News. I read a couple of other outlets and the days didn't match up. There were some misspellings, there were typos. So I decided to read a couple of different articles, and this is the one that I like the best because it's clean and coherent. All right. So NBC News is reporting that Don Lemon was arrested by federal authorities, and his attorney is giving statements to the press. So what the heck happened? So former CNN anchor Don Lemon, he was arrested by federal authorities on Thursday night, according to his attorney. There are other media outlets that are reporting Sunday. I don't know how. Today's Friday, the January 30th. So how could he have been arrested on Sunday? Other outlets are saying it happened Tuesday, whatever. His attorney is saying that he was arrested last night, Thursday night. All right. So Lemon, who is 59, was taken into custody by federal agents last night in LA, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. This is what his attorney, Abbe Lowell, he said in a statement. So it's not immediately clear why Lemon was arrested. However, the Justice Department promised to pursue charges against Lemon after the independent journalist covered a protest. Remember that? In a church in St. Paul, Minnesota last week. Okay. Now, he wasn't protesting himself. He was actually covering and interviewing protesters who stormed into a church, well, who went, whatever, stormed in, went in, whatever, went into a church during service to basically call out the pastor of the church. And Don Lemon, he interviewed the pastor. The pastor, was kind of trying to push Don out of the way, and Don was like, don't put your hands on me, you know what I mean? But Don himself wasn't protesting. Okay, anyway, so his lawyer gave this statement. Instead of investigating the federal agents who took the lives of two peaceful Minnesota protesters, the Cheeto Justice Department is devoting its time. Well, he didn't say Cheeto, it says Trump, but I say Cheeto. Anyway, the Trump Justice Department is devoting its time, attention, and resources to this arrest. And that is the real indictment of wrongdoing on this case. He goes on to say, Don Lemon's attorney goes on to say, this unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many cries facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. Okay, this is the statement from his lawyer. Now, on Don Lemon's social media, I think it's on X, formerly known as Twitter, there is a statement written and posted from his attorneys, basically the same, saying the same thing. I just summarized it. Now, his arrest, Don Lemon, that is, follows the unprecedented detention of three people who protested the same church service Lemon covered. Demonstrators gathered at the service because its pastor allegedly works for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, aka ICE. Over the last 2 months, the federal government has surged 3,000 federal immigration agents to the Twin Cities. So you know that there's a whole bunch of civil unrest in Minnesota. You guys who are keeping up with the news, you know what's going on. Okay, I'm not going to get into detail for the sake of time and the video. But again, Don Lemon was there. He was covering the protests. People went into the church and basically called out the pastor, saying that the pastor was participating in ISIS shenanigans, and they were, basically on the wrong side of history. Okay. It's very interesting because after Don Lemon went into this church, Pastor Wooten, he basically gave a statement saying, telling Don Lemon, don't come into this church, don't storm this church. We ain't having that. Okay. Um, I also find it very interesting that the man that is a self-proclaimed street pastor or whatever he is, white male, stormed into New Birth, Jamal Bryant's church, right? And he wasn't arrested. There were no charges that were brought up against him. People were somewhat outraged, somewhat not. They felt like Jamal Bryant and his church deserved to be called out, and they proclaimed him as this man of God, and that he's doing the Lord's work. He wasn't arrested. Although he was in the lobby, he still, stormed into the church and caused ruckus, right? And he had to be escorted out. So I find this interesting. Now, Don Lemon, listen, he's an independent journalist. Independent journalists get arrested, okay? This is like giving very much Geraldo. Remember, Geraldo used to storm into places just to get the story. This is what happened. So Don Lemon, he said he wasn't scared, and I think that he will be perfectly fine. So let me know what you think about him being arrested for going into the church and basically getting an interview. I mean, like I said, he wasn't protesting, but he was covering the protest. So that's a developing story. I haven't seen any statements at the time of recording this video where Don Lemon, is speaking out, or where he is, or what his actual charges are. I think he's going to be perfectly fine, and I'm pretty sure we are going to get an earful once our Uncle Don Lemon gets out of jail. All right, shifting gears completely. Shaunie O'Neal, well, excuse me, Shaunie Henderson, formerly Shaunie O'Neal, took to social media to claim that Basketball Wives will not be returning to VH1 for another season. Now, is Basketball Wives canceled? I don't know. Okay. They've done this before. This has been said before. I think when it moves from, was it always on VH1? It was always on VH1, right? Listen, one minute they're canceled, then they revamp the show, and then they merge two franchises together. They separate two franchises. We don't know. It appears that Basketball Wives is being canceled, but we shall see. I'm pretty sure it'll come back under a new name, or revamped, or whatever. So let's take a look and listen to what Shaunie Henderson, formerly Shaunie O'Neal, had to say.
Hey, I wanted to jump on here real quick before the news got out and people try to be messy and make this something that it's not. This is just called growth and, moving forward. I'm announcing today that Basketball Wives will not be returning. Since its launch in 2010, this franchise has been the defining part of my professional journey. What began as a vision to tell my story and stories of women like me grew into a cultural movement that created opportunity, sparked conversation, and honestly amplified voices that deserve to be heard. I'm so grateful to VH1, Truly Original, Shed Media, and BET for their partnership and belief in a show that left a long-lasting mark on entertainment. Most importantly, I'm thankful to the women who trusted me with their stories and the creatives in front of and behind the camera who helped bring this vision to life season after season. Growth requires evolution and knowing everybody while preparing for what's next. While this journey is concluding, I'm actively developing new projects that align with my personal and professional purpose, continuing to create meaningful opportunities for women across media and business. Basketball Wives will always be a cherished part of my legacy and a foundation of my career as a producer. Thank you for your support from day one, and I look forward to this next season of leadership, creativity, and expansion, and sharing it with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds good. So she posted pretty much the same thing to her social media. Basketball Wives update. You heard it here first. Basketball Wives will not be returning. Thank you, BET, blah, 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 everyone who supported this chapter, yada, yada, yada. This isn't an ending, it's a transition. I'm stepping into a new season with exciting projects ahead that align with where I am personally and professionally. More to come. So I guess she didn't say it was canceled. I mean, but again, who knows? Let's see what the comments are saying. Congrats to Shaunie. May the reality TV history books forever speak of her name and this legendary accomplishment. To be honest with you, especially how the last season ended, with mother and daughter getting physical with each other, this is not a good part of your legacy. It ended terribly. No one will ever forget what OG had to endure. No one will ever forget the atrocious behavior displayed by Evelyn Lozada, the violence, the bullying, the disrespect, the degradation. So yeah, if you want to consider this a part of your legacy in a good way, sure, why not? I'm pretty sure you were financially lucrative. Um, and yeah, but no, Basketball Wives went out terribly. It ended terribly. And I think because of the outrage, probably from the public and the backlash that a lot of the participants on the show received, VH1 probably decided, like, yeah, this is not the direction that we are going to go in, that we want to go in. Remember, it was canceled before, right? Quote unquote, canceled before. Then it came back. I think it's just poorly produced. I think it's poorly casted. And yeah, this last season of Basketball Wives was atrocious. You know, Jackie and her daughter coming to blows was absolutely deplorable. And Shaunie can sit up there and pretend like, she actually cares about the well-being of some of the castmates, but it's very evident that that's a bunch of BS. Okay, justice for OG till it's backwards. Okay, let's get into some of these other comments. Finally, some good news. End of an era. Fantastic, because I haven't watched since they kicked off OG for checking Evelyn. Well, after Jackie turned into Joe Jackson, it was time. Now, end love and hip hop. It was fun to watch the first few years, but 16 years was entirely too long to see the lack of growth in some of the castmates. Nonetheless, I'm happy Shawnee was able to stretch that Basketball Wives bag as long as she could. And let's not forget how Tammy behaved. I did not like how Tammy behaved, although I do like Tammy. And I don't like how she was done prior to her exit either. So it really, honestly, there was no growth in the show. It was just a bunch of foolishness and exploitation of people's situation, discrimination, colorism. It was a hot mess. So, I mean, if I don't see anything to be proud of, to be honest with you, with the show. It ended terribly. It should have never came back. Someone said, VH1, please take Love and Hip Hop. We tired of that too. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta is on MTV, right? And I think Love and Hip Hop Miami is on VH1 still. I don't know. Who knows what they're doing? What are your thoughts about Basketball Wives seemingly coming to an end? So I think it's probably going to be revamped. I'm pretty sure this is not the end of Shawnee O'Neal. And it's weird because her husband is a pastor of a church. So I just, again, I don't know. The girls need PR because this doesn't align. This just doesn't look good with your brand either way. And again, the last couple of years, the show has gone downhill and nothing good has come from the show. It's been a disaster. All right, up next. So DMX's family is speaking out, okay? And there is a new documentary, I guess. I don't know who is producing this per se. Hopefully, I can play these clips without any issue. So I'm gonna play some of these clips, not all. It's all over social media. So if you go on IG and Spiritual Word, you can look at the clips in full. But I'm not gonna play them in its entirety, right? So X versus Earl, the Simmons family speaks, tells the never before heard story of DMX through the voices that mattered most. For the first time, Tashira Simmons and their children open up about life with Earl Simmons beyond the fame, sharing the love, pain, chaos, struggles, and the real cost of being connected to one of hip hop's most complex icons. Family, are y'all ready? Okay, so the full trailer is live on YouTube. Okay, the documentary is coming soon, so you have to subscribe to Antoinette Media's channel. I guess the documentary is going to be on YouTube. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about this overall. All right, let's get into the clips. Let's get into some of the clips.
Rapper Earl Simmons, known to the world as DMX, has died at the age of 50 following a heart attack related to a drug overdose.
Ready? No, I don't. I'm just.
That's me muting some of the sound. So that's not your phone going in and out or your device going in and out. That's me intentionally muting some of the sound.
And we were all prepared for it, mainly because.
So that's his son. That he pretty much talked about seeing his father on drugs.
Y'all never knew Earl. I know that for a fact. I am Tashira Simmons, the ex-wife and only wife of
Now that's shady. Okay, she's the ex-wife and only wife. The woman that DMX was with prior to his passing, and he had a little son with. That lady was his fiance. I thought that they were married, but apparently they weren't. So Tashira Simmons is letting it be known that she's his ex-wife and she's his only wife. Is that necessary?
Earl Simmons, aka DMX.
lady, and from there on, I fell in love with them. Like that's like it's a pretty good story.
I think the industry failed Earl.
Now she said the industry failed Earl. I have my opinions about that. Let me just go through. Like I said, I'm not playing this in its entirety. I don't want to get a copyright strike, but you can go to Antoinette Media. I'm gonna look for it on YouTube. I didn't find it on YouTube. I just watched this.
They saw that this was a sick man who needed help, but he was a very powerful money tool.
His moods were up and down, and not based on week to week. For him, it was day to day. It's like a
His children seem, especially Xavier, seem very well spoken. I want to see this, but I have mixed feelings, y'all.
dog, like waiting. Like I'm gonna say it exactly how it was. He would say, "Yo, get about 4 or 5 bitches. Make sure they're ready to. Gotta have 2. My son need 1, and his friend need 1. Make it happen." Mind you, at the time we're like 12.
Xavier was in a room and he was doing push-ups and he was like so serious. He was 14 years old. He said, "I'm putting on some weight because the next time my father speaks to you like that, I'm gonna kill him."
Yeah, Tashira, she looks great. She's kept herself up. Here's the thing. And like I said, the reason why I'm not playing it in its entirety is for copyright reasons. Okay, I don't, have no intention of infringing on any copywritten content. Here's the thing. First of all, DMX is definitely easily in my top 5, one of my favorite rappers. And I find it interesting that Tashira said that the industry failed him. I could do a whole separate video. I'm a hip hop head through and through. I could do a whole separate video breaking this all down and talking about this for hours. You know what I mean? But for the sake of time, I'll keep it brief. I don't think that the industry failed DMX. See, sometimes people put their faith, their trust, their hope, and everything else into a failing system. The industry was never designed to protect any rapper, any entertainer. Okay. How many people have we seen pass away due to the same alleged reason that DMX passed away? Many, 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 not just rappers, actors, artists, all types of entertainers. The industry is meant to do one thing, and it is to basically uh, profit off of whoever, whatever, however, regardless if it means literally sucking them dry. So the industry didn't fail Earl or DMX, right? The industry did exactly what it was created and designed to do, and is to increase the profit of the people that sit higher up, the powers that be. Okay. So even if it costs somebody their life. I think I kind of understand what she means, but we have to be realistic. The industry is not here to benefit any artist. Many, many artists will tell you the same thing. Prince, look at Prince, Michael Jackson. A lot of them spoke out about how cruel and wicked the industry is. So the thing is though, DMX he's such a powerful individual because I think he understood that he will forever, until the day he passed away, that he will forever be fighting with his flesh. He and his flesh will continue to fail him. However, that man's faith and was deeply, deeply rooted in the word of God, and he definitely believed in the word of God. And I think even if you listen to his music, he understood what he would have to endure in this life. On top of that, he's experienced a lot of trauma. that was not treated properly. He probably didn't know how, who, what, where to go to get proper treatment. You know, his mother, she's expressed that she's done the best, that she did the best that she could with the tools that she felt that she had at the time. So there's no one to blame per se as it pertains to his mother, so on and so forth. He was, you know, he experienced a lot of trauma as a young boy. He was betrayed mercilessly. Okay, if you know the story, then you know what happened to him and how he got hooked on substances. You know, just a victim of cruelty and wickedness, point blank, period. But he was very intelligent, very emotionally intelligent, very wise guy, and extremely talented. So I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not trying to say that their family should not speak up about their experiences. They have every right to. It's their family. They share time with DMX. You know what I mean? They know Earl, like Tashira said. It's just that sometimes these things can borderline exploitative. You know, like I would hope that his family wouldn't be doing this for the wrong reasons. You never know anyone's intentions. So for the sake of just thinking positive, I'm going to say that they're doing this with positive intentions. That's my hope. So I look forward to this. I do like the fact that it's not being told by somebody like a 50 Cent who is trying to create a podcast with Jadakiss talking about DMX. See that right there? I don't have no interest in what 50 Cent has to produce and has to say as it pertains to DMX. He has ulterior motives. Anyway, I'm hoping that this is well put together and that the family is satisfied with the outcome, because I always say when you don't have creative control of content, whoever it is that makes the edits on that final cutting room floor can tell your story how they want your story to be told. So I just hope that this doesn't get ugly. Someone said I got mixed feelings about this. Me too. His only wife took me out. I can't. First of all, is the son okay? Bro, got on a coat, shorts, and leggings with no shirt. I can't take him serious in that fit. His ex-wife's genes are very strong in those children. I hate how people always say Tashira was so strong. Her staying with him all those years nearly destroyed her children. Her oldest son was in so much pain. Yeah. Why wait until he's gone? I don't know. A lot of people do that. I don't know. It's their story to tell. Like, it's they lived with him. They experienced him. They endured all that he was. So it's their story to tell. Okay. All right. I'm babbling. So for the sake of time, let's wrap this up. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to do is drop down in the comments and share your thoughts. Let me know what you think about Don Lemon being arrested. Lord, free Don Lemon. They done got Uncle Don, y'all. Okay. Let me know what you think about Shaunie seemingly saying that Basketball Wives is canceled. She didn't use the word cancel. So, is it canceled? Is it just going to come back under another name? To be honest with you, keep it. Keep it. Anything produced by Shaunie O'Neal. I'm good. I'm good. Excuse me, Shaunie Henderson. I'm good. And what are your thoughts about DMX's family speaking out in this new documentary? Right. We shall see how this goes. Very interesting topics today, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So drop down in the comments, share your thoughts. You still have time to like the video. That is your admission fee. Thank you, thank you, thank you in advance. I'm signing off, but I will be back soon. I love you for watching, and I will talk to you later.